everyone, welcome back. My name's Morgan. This is my channel, Pisces Paperbacks, and today I'm starting another reading vlog. I'm only going to be reading one book in this vlog, and that is What the Woods Took by Courtney Gould. I am literally so excited. It's the one and only book that I requested on NetGalley this year. I've been trying to get away from NetGalley because I just request too many books and then can't deliver on them because of how sporadically I'm reading a lot of books at a time, but I couldn't resist. I'm literally so excited. I've read this author's first book. I think this is her third or fourth, but I've only read the first one, which I also read as an ARC, and that was The Dead in the Dark. It was so good. It made me sob. I loved it so much. My dog is walking around if you hear any noise, but they are both horror novels about queer girls, like teenagers, and they're paranormal and they're spooky, and I'm so excited to get into this one. I believe that What the Woods Took is about a teenage girl named Devin Green who is abducted from her foster parents' house and taken to like the middle of the woods. It's this wilderness therapy / conversion camp situation. So she's there with a bunch of other teenagers. They're trying to survive this horrific thing happening to them, and then one day they wake up and all the counselors are gone. So it's this survivalist aspect as well as possibly like there is something in the woods and you don't know what it is. And so I love shit like that. I love spooky things like out there, like capital O, capital T, out there, like what's out there. I'm so excited to read this. I'm going to start it this evening and see how long it takes me to get through it. The last time I made a video for just one specific arc that I was really excited for was I think like 3 years ago when I read Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. That book also made me cry. So let's just see if maybe this one will make me cry too. I'm so excited. I have the book itself downloaded on my Kindle right here, and so I'm just gonna get into it tonight. And I'll update you when I'm a little bit in. Bye! Hi everyone, it's been a couple days and I just wanted to give you an update because I'm now 36% into What the Woods Took. First of all, slight update to the synopsis. I, for some reason, well, not for some reason, for reasons I will explain, really thought this book was going to be more of a conversion camp angle, specifically because I know that this author writes YA queer horror and specifically writes like queer sapphic main characters. And then also on the back of the book, or like in the blurb, it says that Devin, the main character, is dropped off in the woods with a group of 4 other confused teenagers. So I kind of just took that and ran with it. But this book is really emphasizing more the wilderness therapy and troubled teen industry. If you don't know what that is, it is basically an industry where people take their teenagers who are having, in their eyes, behavioral issues and ship them off to literally the middle of nowhere. It is a horrible, traumatizing experience. These kids are not treated well. These counselors are not empathetic, and they're basically just like forced to be outside for weeks, months, years at a go. And there's like no empathy. They will lie to your family if you say like, it's horrible here, please take me back. They will be like, your child's lying to you. You have to do this. This is the only way to get them to like understand what they're doing wrong. And so I've actually read a little bit about this because I read Paris Hilton's memoir. If you haven't read it, she has a very interesting life. As we know, she's this heiress, she's this socialite, but she also wrote a memoir that came out, I think, last year that is primarily about her experience as a teenager in the troubled teen industry and how horrible and traumatizing it was. And so I do have some knowledge of that from that book. I think this book so far, 36% in, has kind of been feeling more like a hard-hitting YA dealing with this very difficult topic. So far, there's really just been conflict between Devin and the other teenagers. There's also a second main character named Ollie, who is a boy also in this program, and them getting to know each other and getting into the rhythm of this whole situation. And then at about 30% in, the counselors disappear. They wake up one morning and the counselors are not there. So we're finally at the part of the book where the teenagers are on their own, and it's kind of survivalist, but it's just starting to introduce a more speculative aspect to the horror. I'm really into it so far. I'm enjoying the book. The writing is good. I do think that the first book that I read from this author introduced the idea of a speculative element earlier on. This one, I was reading it and I was like, at some points, not that I forgot that this was going to be a horror book, but there were some points where I was like, almost was like, I'm reading just hard-hitting YA. And honestly, a hard-hitting YA that I'm enjoying. I will say I am not typically an enjoyer of serious, hard-hitting YA contemporary novels. It's just not my preference. I think that if this book had just been a hard-hitting YA contemporary novel, I do like the writing. I think I would have enjoyed it. But now that we're getting into like the more speculative element of like there is something in the woods possibly hunting them, following them. I don't know, we haven't gotten there yet, but I'm really into it. I like the characters. There was one character that really annoyed me, but you know what? There was just a reveal about them that made me feel like an asshole. So it kind of like did the job that the writing was supposed to do. It was supposed to make you not like this character and then reveal something about them. And so I am having a really good time. It's also truly a beautiful day outside. I'm gonna go read in the park, I think. I'm hanging out with my friends later today. We were doing a very cool, nonchalant, spontaneous, cool girl book club. And I finished our book for it last week, so we're going to talk about it this weekend. And I'm going to go over to my friend's house, and she just got kittens last month. I'm going to play with their kittens. That's what I've been up to. That's what I've been reading. I really like Devin. I think that they are characters that I enjoy. I haven't said this in a while. The last time I can remember specifically talking about this is literally like maybe 5 years ago when I was making my very first videos on BookTube. I mentioned I was reading the Hazelwood, I believe, and I was like, I love that this main character is so angry. I really like an angry main character, especially if it's a young girl. I want them to be angry and vindictive and feel hurt and betrayed and then act on it. I love really angry characters, and Devin is absolutely that. So I'm enjoying it, and I'm excited to continue to read. My hope is to get to like 75% today. I have the time, I'm not doing much, and then finish it off tomorrow. So it's just like a nice little weekend with my YA horror. It's Sunday. I did not go read in the park yesterday. I don't know if I said that yesterday, but I just camped out on my couch, and then I went to hang out with friends, and we did a little book club, and we got drinks, and it was so fun. But I'm now 85% into What the Woods Took, and I just wanted to give one last update before I finish, just to like get any lingering thoughts I have like during the process out. First, and really the thing I want to say is that I feel like I'm worried this book is showing its hand too much, because and to be clear, I am enjoying it very much. It's basically a series of my favorite tropes in a row constantly. So I am having a very good time, but you kind of are experiencing the horror and you get a pretty good look at it like 35-40% in, and then there's still like building tension and creepiness in the woods, and I'm loving it so much. It's just a hint here or there, but now we've gotten to the end and I'm like, without spoiling it, I just feel like maybe we're getting too many answers about what this thing out there is. And I just feel like maybe it would be scarier if we didn't know. So I'm just like, but we're getting to the end and stuff's about to happen that like nothing like this has happened yet. So I'm very excited. It's very scary. And I do really like the psychological aspect of this book. And I'm just enjoying it. I just wanted to say that I think that's something that you think about with horror movies. The scariest part of a horror movie is before you see the monster. And then once you see it like in full lighting, it ceases to become as scary because you know what you're dealing with. Like nothing can be scarier than what your imagination can conjure up. And this book is kind of like maybe showing the monster a little early. So that's my only thought, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying Devin. I really like the other characters, Ollie. The other characters are Hannah, Aiden, and Sheridan, and I just really like their interactions. I know I keep bringing up Cuckoo by Gretchen Felker Martin, but it's just because it's like, it's really not similar at all, but it's another horror that I've really enjoyed this year. And I was reading What the Woods Took, and I was like, are the relationships and ties between these kids developing too quickly? But then I was like, no, teenagers literally blink and then have a crush on somebody. You know what I mean? And I would argue that the relationships in this book are way less sudden and out of left field than the relationships that developed in Cuckoo. So, but they're also different. One's YA, one's an adult extreme horror. Like, I don't know why I keep comparing them, except for that it deals with like semi-similar themes, but like in a completely different way. So that's just my thoughts. That's where I'm feeling. I am really enjoying this book. I don't think it's going to be a 5-star unless it can really shock me at the end, but it's definitely a 4.5 so far. I'm really, really enjoying it. Welcome to the last clip of this vlog because I've officially finished What the Woods Took by Courtney Gould, and I really enjoyed it. I feel like all of the characters grew so much. Like, there was such a good character arc for each of them individually that I really appreciated. I feel like they felt like real people, all of them, which is hard to do with a cast of characters. I'm not one for like a super multi-POV story. This one only has 2 points of view, but there are 5 like main characters and they all really feel real to me. I don't know. I really liked them. Last night I was talking to a friend and I was complaining. I was like, they're in the woods. You wouldn't notice this thing about someone, even if you just developed an insta crush on this other person, which I feel like some people could complain about, but it's so realistic to me to be a teenager and be like, well, if I'm fucking stuck here, I might as well pick someone I have a crush on. And like, you know what I mean? Like, it's that fast. But this character would like notice stuff about this other person, and I'm like, you wouldn't notice that because that wouldn't happen. You've been trapped in the woods for a month. There's no way that this thing would happen and be noticeable. Joke's on me, that was actually a clue, and I wasn't noticing it correctly. So I feel like that was a really successful, good horror story. I thought that it was kind of, I don't know, more serious, like moody than I was expecting, but I also think that I've been reading more tongue-in-cheek things that are horror lately, and this was definitely like in line with the first book of hers, which was also pretty serious and moody. That one has a little bit more like spooky ghost town vibes if you're interested. I really liked it. This was obviously trapped in the woods, there's something out there. I really enjoyed it. I loved Devin, I loved Sheridan, I loved Ollie. Those were my 3 favorites. Obviously Devin's my favorite, but I'm a little biased. I love an angry butch lesbian. Like, I just love that. It's one of my favorite types of characters. And I just think that I'm so glad that I got a release copy. I'm trying to think of what I want to rate it because it's not a 5-star, and I feel that like pretty confidently, but I don't know that it's I really liked it. But then I'm trying to think, I gave She Is a Haunting a 4, but I think I did that because sometimes I found the writing very confusing. So even though I enjoyed these both equally, this I feel like I flew through and I didn't think it was confusing at all. So I think I'm gonna give this one a 4.5. I do want to give some trigger warnings. There is a letter in the beginning of the book that the author writes about the troubled teen industry and like wellness therapy or wilderness therapy, but there is also some trigger warnings that are listed there that I want to include here. Content warnings for discussions of drug use, psychological, like emotional abuse, and also child sexual assault is referenced. Nothing that is depicted on page, like none of these 3 things are really depicted on page, but they are all like very relevant to the experiences of the characters as they're going through this thing together. So if those are things that you don't feel comfortable even being like really a serious topic in the books, then I maybe don't recommend these. If you're okay with kind of the more serious topics going along with the more serious themes of this book, then I really highly recommend it if you're interested in horror. I would also warn that there is some body horror in this as well. So if those are things that you want to avoid, you could avoid them. And if they're not, I really recommend this book, especially when it comes out, I think in December. I'll put the release date on the screen right here on one side or the other. And I'm just so excited that I read it, and I read it so quickly. I read it in like basically 2 big sittings, like 3 big sittings, and that's it, which is pretty good for me and the way that I've been reading physical and ebooks lately. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you've read this author's first or second book. I definitely want to go back and read the second one. And if you're interested in reading this one as well, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!